Good morning or afternoon, everyone. This is Mark here, and today I'm going to take you through end-to-end solutions for Business Central. So this is really what we're going to do is go through all of our applications, our add-on applications for Business Central, and cover those off. So quick agenda, a little bit about us. We'll jump into our solutions, and then we're going to spend most of the time in the software demo. Probably going to take 45 to 60 minutes because we've got a lot of ground to cover today, and we'll see how that goes. Now, if you do have any questions on anything that you see or anything that you'd like to see, please enter those into the question box in the GoToWebinar panel there, and I'll do my best to answer those as we go, and there'll be people also answering the questions through the text as well. All right, with that, let's get started. So a little bit about us, if you don't know who we are. We've been around for about 10 years now, selling add-ons for both Nav and Business Central. Pretty much focus on Business Central now, even though a lot of our applications still are available for the old Nav system as well. We are based out here in Western Canada, but we have remote offices, in Europe and US, and we sell globally. And most of what we do is through our reseller partners. So if you have questions about these things, if you need quotes, and your existing Business Central partner is one of our resellers, contact them. They should be able to help you out. If they can't, or if your partner is not one of the resellers, contact us directly and we'll see what we can do to help out. All right, that's very quickly who we are. This is very quickly what you probably think you know about us. So this is typically what we present as our solutions. And most people, I'd say, know us for the WMS side of things and maybe a little bit on the shipping and the manufacturing side. And, that's great because these are very important and popular applications. The other thing that people tend to know us for are these applications down at the bottom here. These are all the free applications that are available if you're on Business Central Cloud. So there was a question on sign up, which is better cloud or on premises. It's starting definitely to lean towards the cloud side of things. And all of these applications here are free for the cloud. And we'll check on those. We'll see some of those in a minute. Now, that's what kind of what most people think of us. They think of us as, warehouse management and maybe a little bit of shop floor and things like that. This is really what we provide. So all of these extensions available for Business Central to really fill all the gaps in Business Central on the manufacturing and warehouse management side of things. So we're going to cover, most of these as we go through the session today. But I will bring up, a couple that you may not have heard of. And this one is this Ordership Express. This is another free application, and this will be on AppSource probably May of this year. And Ordership Express is discounted shipping rates on UPS and USPS, so domestic US shipments. The app is free and you get discounted shipping rates and everything else. So Dynamic Ship, if you want the full-blown, shipping capability, you would go with Dynamic Ship. If you just need UPS and USPS, you get Ordership Express. It's free, gets you discounted rates, very easy to set up and use. And we'll be showing that in the session. At any rate, a lot of these are free applications. Some are subscription applications. You can contact us or check out our website and it will tell you sort of which are which. All right, with that, that's it. That's it for the PowerPoint. Let's jump in and look at the demo. So what we're going to do is we're going to run through sort of a day in the life of an organization. We're going to do some order entry, and then we're going to process that order through the system. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is our product called Counter Sales. And Counter Sales is typically used for, sales counters, right? So if you have a parts desk or something like that, or a outlet store, if you're a distributor, those sorts of things, it's really a point of sale solution, for those professional salespeople, like a trade desk or a counter sale, that sort of thing. It can also be used to do order entry, on the back end, like if you've got a order desk, like a phone order desk, that sort of thing. But let's jump in here real quick and I'll show you how this works. So, we come in, first thing is you can set this up if you're using it sort of in a point of sale environment where you have shared terminals. It's prompting me here for the person that's, authorized to work at this terminal. So I can actually come in here, enter my passcode, and identify myself before I can, do any order entry. And now I come in here and we've got a very simple way of entering orders. I can do a quick phone number search, find the customer I want to use, or I can come in and create a new customer right here on the fly. So if I wanted to come in here and create, it's just a walk-in cash customer, but I want their name and their phone number or something like that, so I can track them for marketing purposes, or if they need to leave deposits, I can do all that very, very quickly right here. Or I can just come in and choose, John Doe here, and it creates that order for me. And now I can start doing my order entry. Now there's a whole bunch of goodies and counter sales that I won't really get into in a lot of detail here. Things like the ability to do quick scans, so more like a point of sale solution where people have a number of items they bring to the counter. We can just scan those in, scan the UPC codes. We can take deposits, layaways, that sort of thing, and we can take multiple payment methods. So we can take $50 in cash and $20 in Visa or check, those sorts of things, so we can take multiple payments on each order. So there's a whole bunch of stuff we can do there. But really from here, what I want to focus on is, we're coming in and a customer wants to buy a product from us. So we can just come in here and type in the product like we normally would in Business Central. We also have the ability to do advanced item searching. So we can search without wildcards and those sorts of things, and very easily find what we're looking for. So here's an example where we've got front wheel, but we've got wheel front and front, all that sort of thing. Don't need wildcards, don't need to worry about the order of the text. We just type in our search term and it'll find it and give us all the detail we need to actually sell this. So again, this is great for people walking up to the counter, or if you're on a phone and people are coming in and calling in and asking for specific product, makes it very easy to find it and enter it. But in this particular case, what I'm going to do is come in and we're going to actually build a configured product. So here is where we're using our configurator tool. And this allows us to come in and choose one of our existing product lines that we're able to configure. So you set up, if you've got a website with the different product lines listed in it, that's really what we're seeing here. Is these are all the different product lines that I have available to sell. And in this case, I'm going to come in and do a mountain bike. And so when I do that, it brings up all the options I have for that specific mountain bike. And I can come in here, I can choose different options for each of these, or different choices for each of these things. Maybe I want a bell on here as well. Maybe I want 2 bells just to be fancy. So I can build up my configuration and it calculates the price that I need to pay and the cost and everything else as I'm going. And that includes labor and components and everything else. So we can actually use the configurator to build a full routing, full bill of materials, incorporate all that cost into this build and provide a potential price for you. So when I hit OK on this, what it's going to do is it's going to go out and it's going to build that configuration for me, add it onto the sales order, and we're good to go, right? And that's basically it. Now I can come in, I can sell this thing, and I can run MRP with this. I can do all sorts of stuff with this. And just to show you what this actually built for us, if I go back into that BOM designer there, and we look at what it actually built, just from me choosing those few little options, this is actually what it built out for me for manufacturing, right? I've got all my labor, I've got all my material, everything else, and I'm good to go. It's as simple as that, right? So that's a configurator. Now, the other nice thing about this is you can set up all sorts of rules on here. You can get very, comprehensive and complicated in how you do this. So you can prevent certain options from showing up. Like if I choose 2 bells, maybe I'm not allowed to choose a light. Well, we can hide that, or we can pop up a message and prevent you from doing that. All those sorts of things. And the way that works is with this rule designer. And just sorry, so I've got a bunch of tabs open here on the left-hand side. I just switched to this tab, and this is the rule designer that we have available in the configurator. And this allows us to build all sorts of complex rules and requirements. So you can build effectively a complete program in here just through configuration. I can choose any of the choices from the configurator, right? Like how many lights did I choose? How many bells did I choose? All that kind of stuff, and build up these rules and execute actions on it. So for example, I can come in here down at the bottom, you can see we're sending a message to the user that that handlebar needs a bell, or I can come in here and set values, all those sorts of things. So that's actually how we can build up these very comprehensive rules in the configurator. You don't have to use this if you don't want, but this is a very nice tool for building those configurations. All right, now back to this. Now, a couple other things that we've got here as I'm building this up. You'll notice on the attachment side, we've got this doc extender. Doc extender is a free tool, and that allows us to do drag and drop document management. So as an example, I can come in here and let's say, the customer sent us a document. It's an email attachment. I just drag it from the email, drop it in there, and it attaches automatically, and I can open it up and look at it, download it, do whatever I want. We can also push that to SharePoint as well. So if you don't want to use the built-in Business Central attachment management, we can send that out to SharePoint, and you can use SharePoint for document management, all of those sorts of things as well. So Doc Extender is that little free tool for that basic document management. Another couple of things that we can do here. If I go and need to print this, maybe I want to print it from the warehouse. By the way, this does have lots of integration with the warehouse. We can come in and, do all sorts of things on the warehouse side. But if I come in here and I just want to print this out, when I hit print, you'll notice we've got this printer pre-selected. And if I just hit print here, I don't get a browser pop-up or anything like that. What that's going to do is send that directly to the printer. And this is important for the people running on the cloud version of Business Central, because this is basically cloud print. So we don't get any additional, user interface requirements for the user. I hit print and out it goes. And where that's important is I might want to hit print and print out 3 or 4 different reports. Maybe I want to print a pick list, an order confirmation, packing stuff, a whole bunch of things all simultaneously. Well, I can do that. I can hit print and I can, behind the scenes, print all of those things out without any user interaction. And the way we do that is with our print node connector. So the print node connector is free from us. You sign up with a company called Print Node. They handle the cloud printing side of it, very reliable, everything else. And we provide that connector to make it very easy to print out, without any user interaction. And we can use that from the handheld devices and terminals and things like that, so that I can hit print on a handheld device and out that report or label or whatever pops out on the printer beside me. All right, so that's a few of the free things like the doc extender, the print node connector, that type of stuff. Okay, so let's say I've entered this and we're getting a bunch of questions here. I might quickly review that in a bit. Oh, there was a question on the BOM designer. Yeah, so what I did here was I built a production BOM and a production routing. I can also do an assembly BOM and assembly, just an assembly BOM with resources for labor. So yes, it does work with production and assembly. It'll work with an essentials license or a premium license. If you're doing this on the quote, so I'm doing this on a sales order, but if you're doing this on a quote, you can have team members use the configurator to build up configurations as well. We can do all sorts of stuff with that. There are online demos of the configurator that you can look at that go into a little more detail. But this is, so it was very easy to build this thing up, and away we go. So now I've built this guy up, and the next thing I'm going to do is actually plan this work that I've done here, right? So I've got the sales order in the system. I now need to go out and plan that work. So I'm just going to jump into this role center here real quick and show you what that looks like. So up here, these items at the top that I've got pinned here, those are part of our enhanced planning pack. So we've got things like the enhanced planning worksheet and the ability for, viewing the BOM in a sort of diagram format and a multi-level view. This makes it very easy on production personnel to do substitutions, to use phantoms, all sorts of fun stuff. This routing analysis here, there was a question on sign up on, how do we compare actuals to expected? And that's what this routing analysis does. It'll take in what your actual times were in production, compare that to the expected times, and do some statistical analysis on that to tell you how much variability you have in your process, those sorts of things. So that's a very good tool. But what I wanted to cover off here real quick is a little bit on the forecasting, because I've got the sales order in place now for this custom product, but I might have forecast for standard product that I want to do. So let's have a look at that. Now, what this does, if you've seen in Business Central on the item list, it's got that little forecast window per item that gives you a little chart of the sales forecast for that item. Well, that uses machine learning behind the scenes. It uses a Cortana machine learning model to calculate that forecast. Well, we use that same model, that exact same model. So you set up your Business Central sales forecasting the way you normally do, and then we make it easier to use. So I can come in here and I can say, what, for all my chairs, I want to do a forecast for, say, the next 3 months based on the last 12 months of history. And that takes into account seasonality and a whole bunch of stuff. And when I hit calculate forecast, what it does is it sends out all my sales history and everything else out to Cortana, to the machine learning out in the cloud, and it comes back with my suggested forecast. So here we can see on this first item, there's these 3 periods here. It's telling me I need 11, then 7, then 7, and so on and so forth, and it calculates that out. And from here, I can hit this update demand forecast, and it'll push all of these values into my forecast. So now that when I run MRP, it's pulling in all of these suggestions into my manufacturing. The other thing that's kind of neat is this update item planning. So you can actually go in there and you can set up formulas that calculate your min and max or your safety stock and those sorts of things. And we can set that instead. So if you don't want to use the demand forecast, you can just set your min maxes and your safety stock based on the formulas that you configure. And that's kind of neat. I wasn't going to show this, but now I'm excited about it. So I'm going to show you anyway. So what we can do is create formulas like this, right? Average daily usage times lead time days, and that's going to be our safety stock. So that's pretty cool. We can come in here and set up all these formulas and things like that to calculate out what we need for min maxes if you don't want to use the demand forecast. Okay, but that's basically the forecasting. And this forecast, again, coming back is from Microsoft's machine learning model. So it's the same as what you'd see in Business Central, just much nicer, easier to use solution. Now, let's say I've gone in, I've got my sales orders in there, I've got my forecast that I've done through the enhanced forecasting worksheet. I now need to plan this sucker out. So what I'm going to do is, you could use the planning worksheet, but we've got this enhanced planning worksheet that does a little bit more for us. So, in this view, it looks, hey, that looks like the planning worksheet. It's the same thing. Well, we do a few other things in here, right? So one of them is, we got better fact boxes that give you a better idea of what your supply and demand is going to be and what the net result of executing this plan is going to be. A few other things, you can see all the companies, all the locations. You can set up availability by location, just like in counter sales where you can set up different stores you want to monitor, or the warehouse and the store. We can set up different manufacturing facilities or warehouses and figure out, hey, do I actually want to buy this or make it, or can I just transfer it in from another store? And it does allow us to actually make those changes here to transfer versus, manufacture, whatever you like. We also have the ability to plan by vendor. So if you're in a distribution environment, you've got, one purchaser, you've got 3 or 4 purchasers, and each purchaser handles a few vendors on their own. You can set it up so that each purchaser has a list of vendors, and they can plan by vendor versus by specific item. As an example, if I go into this guy here, we can see for this particular vendor, this is how much I've approved for purchases from that particular vendor, and I might get prepaid freight or discounts based on the purchasing that I do with them. Okay, so some nice fact boxes. The other thing that we have down here is we can expand this out and see things like a nice graphical view of my history, and we can see the tabular view as well. But one of the nice things about this is what drives planners nuts is, hey, I'm planning this thing, it's telling me to buy 200. That's ridiculous. Why am I doing that? Instead of having to drill down and click 10 buttons to figure out what's going on, I just open this up and I can adjust all of these planning parameters right here. It makes it very quick and easy to manage my planning parameters and do my planning from here. So there's lots of good stuff in the enhanced planning worksheet for sort of standard. And then we also have the ability to come in, and if you're in distribution, right, where you're not, standard MRP is not going to work for you if you're in a warehouse situation where you're buying for distribution to stores and things like that. So we do have this ability to calculate a purchase plan, which uses different logic than standard MRP. And it really is intended for distribution type environments. And it's very fast. You can do 100,000 SKUs in a few minutes. That's how quickly it plans. And you won't get all the noise, like you won't get all these new cancels and all that dumb stuff that you get with standard MRP. And it is a much better approach if you're, using the warehouse environment. And then a few other things here that, sort of combine the requisition worksheet. Anyway, just a much nicer tool for anybody doing planning. For the cost of this thing, it'll pay for itself the first day the planner gets in there and starts using it. All right, so that's a planning worksheet. So what we did, again, entered the sales order, we dropped some documents on there, we printed it out, all that fancy stuff. We maybe did some forecasting, and then we planned it out using the planning worksheet. The next thing we need to do, and again, just like in normal Business Central, we can come in here and we can do some basic, due date planning and stuff like that within the planning worksheet. But once we've executed all those action messages in the planning worksheet, we need to schedule the production of this. And the way we do that, well, there's a few different ways, but this is the graphical scheduler. So this is another one of the free tools. You can install this with AppSource. And again, the free stuff is really just for Business Central Cloud. But this is the graphical scheduler. You can install this and start using it right now. And you can set up your own custom views. You can actually plot anything you want on that graphical scheduler. And this upcoming version, which should be the end of this month, will have a calendar view and a task view as well. So you can see it either in a Gantt view or any view you like. But we've got people that plot sales information on there, task information, all kinds of stuff on here. But the default, it comes with the production orders. And these are all my production orders in the system. And I set up these colors myself in that view option there so that I can actually see, oh, you know, this yellowish color is maybe firm plan and the blue is released and that sort of thing. So I can click on this, I can drill down into the details, and I can use this to drag and drop my schedule around. So if I'm looking at this and I want to move this to a different machine or a different date, I can move that and it'll reschedule that order based on what I drag and drop. And again, you have full control over this, those tool tips and all sorts of things, the stuff that shows up as text inside here. You set that all up in the view. Very easy to use. You can use it on custom tables. You can use it for whatever you like, install it, and away you go. And I should mention with the free apps, you know, there's no registration with us required. You just install them and away you go. You don't have to talk to your partner. If you are a partner, like a Microsoft partner, you don't need to be a reseller of ours to use any of this stuff at all. Okay, so this is a nice little tool for visualizing your schedule, dragging and dropping, all that kind of fun stuff. But like for this data, this is pretty easy, right? This is straightforward. I can see exactly what's going on and how it's working. But that's not really a real life situation. If I have a manufacturing plant that's only got this amount of work, I'm probably in trouble. And if you have a lot more orders than this, sitting there and dragging and dropping and manually manipulating the schedule sucks. Nobody wants to do that. You don't want to sit there. If you've got 300 production orders on there with 5 operations each, you don't want to sit there dragging and dropping all day. That would be ridiculous. So what do we do in a case like that? Well, in a case like that, what we do is we use MXAPS. And MXAPS is our advanced planning and scheduling tool that allows you to automatically schedule the production orders in an optimized way. All right, so in this database here, what I've got is I did a forecast, right? I ran that forecast and I ended up with a whole bunch of production orders. So let's see what those production orders look like. So I've got a whole bunch of production orders in here, all kind of ending roughly the same day because the forecast is a weekly or monthly forecast. All those dates are going to be the same. Well, we're never going to be able to execute these things all on the same day, right? But if I look at what Business Central is going to tell me to do, right? If I open up that graphical scheduler here and look at my firm planned orders, this is the schedule that Business Central has generated for me. As soon as it loads, because it's a little slow the first time. So this is what it's done. We've got this laser cutter here, and it's dumped all of that work on the same day on that cutter. And by the way, all these colors again and data in here, you set that up in the view, you can do whatever you like. But again, this is not an executable schedule. I ran my forecast, I ran my planning worksheet, and this is what Business Central gives me, and it's not very good, right? I don't want to sit here and drag and drop these things out and say, oh, I want to run this guy on this machine and drag it over there, and this, that would, yeah, nobody wants to do that. So this might give me a rough, sequence of go for sending out to the shop floor, but this is not a schedule, right? And dragging and dropping is not the answer to fix this. That would suck. So what do we do about that? Well, what we do is we go in and we click this generate production schedule. And we've got a bunch of stuff here that we can set, but let's say I want to, schedule from 8 a.m. on the 1st. And by the way, all the demo data is in 2020. And I'm going to do a 30-day schedule. You can do a 1-year schedule or whatever you like. There's a whole bunch of other options we can set here. I'm just going to ignore these for now, but I'm going to hit generate schedule. And what it's doing is it's taking all that information from Business Central, sending it to the scheduling engine. It's crunching all the numbers, and it's going to come back here in a few seconds with my schedule. Now, in real life, if you had 1,000 production orders, this might take 10 minutes or so to run, but it's significantly faster than MRP, and it's actually going out and it's going to give me, again, that optimized schedule. So what it did is it tells me, hey, every one of my orders is going to be early, but I can see other times I've done this, I've had late orders, early orders, on-time orders, that sort of thing. So this is a nice feature as well. It knows if it's early or late. Standard Business Central doesn't know that. The due date and the end date of the schedule are the same, which is dumb. We deal with that properly. So it gives me some statistics here, and these are basically all what if scenarios, right? So I can say, oh, these are all late, like on this one, oh, they were all late. So I made some changes, ran it again, and compare the results. And what we can do, most people won't look at the screen typically. I can drill down into this to see the detailed schedule. Most people will say, what does this look like, visually? So if I hit this graph results, it's now taking that same information you saw before, where like on that laser cutter, just dumped it all on the same day. And it's coming in here and it's showing me all my answers. And there's a question I just noticed it popped up here. That 56, that's my number of orders. So this is the number of orders that I'm scheduling. And so I've run this same schedule a million times. So it's showing me 56 orders is what I've scheduled every single time, right? So that's all it is. So that in real life, that's going to change because you're going to have a different number of production orders every time you run the schedule. Now, on the graphical schedule, this looks a whole lot different. You'll notice it's automatically chosen the right machine center to use. All that laser work was originally scheduled on that work center. It's now chosen the appropriate machine to run that schedule on, or run that work on. And by the way, this sort of purple magenta thing, that's our setup time, and the green is the runtime. And we can have multiple setup segments, which means I can have changeovers for colors and molds if you're injection molding. And we can sequence it and eliminate that changeover time. So we can schedule it so that we're eliminating mold changeovers or color changeovers, and we can do things like sequence it from light to dark and those sorts of things. All of that kind of stuff we can do. And you'll notice on this one, if I click on this, after it does the laser, it goes off to this machine here, this 10-foot press brake. And this is a long bracket, so it has to run on this machine here. This bracket beside it is also a long bracket. When I click on that, it tells me to run on this machine over here, even though this guy is our preferred machine. So what it's doing is it's actually making an intelligent decision about where to run that particular activity. And it's chosen this machine, even though this machine might be longer to set up or have other penalties, like it costs more to run or whatever, but it's chosen that because it results in the best overall schedule. And this machine here is an internal machine, but that could just as easily be a subcontract machine. It can intelligently decide when you should subcontract stuff, even though there is a penalty on time and cost and things like that. It'll say, hey, subcontract this out because it's going to result in a much better schedule for you. Okay. And I'm going to scroll down here and just show you a little bit on the sequencing. On this particular one, let me click off this. You can see it says AL there. AL is aluminum. So I'm sequencing by material type. So it does my aluminum, aluminum, aluminum. And then once it's done all those, it starts on my SS, which is my stainless steel. So we can sequence by any attribute that you like. In this case, it's material type, but it could be color or temperature, right? You want to ramp your furnace up and down. We can do all of those sorts of things. The other interesting thing that this can do is it can also constrain that schedule based on labor, material, tooling, all of those sorts of things. So if you don't have the labor to execute a specific activity, maybe by skill set or just, you don't have enough people or whatever, we will delay the scheduling of that order until those people are available or those components, right? So if you don't have the material, we're not going to schedule something and say, yeah, this needs to go out at the shop floor at 11 o'clock, even though I know I won't have that material for another 3 days. We won't schedule it. Or tooling will prevent you from scheduling production orders simultaneously that use the same tooling. What we'll actually do is schedule them one after the other so we don't have to do a tooling changeover and save you a lot of time and money. All right, so that's a little bit on MXAPS. It does a whole lot more than that, but you saw I hit a button, 10 seconds later, I've got my executable schedule. If I'm happy with this, just by looking at it, I'm happy. I commit it, and it's now part of Business Central. I send it out to the shop floor to actually execute that schedule on the shop floor, right? So now, once we're ready to send it out to the shop floor, we need to capture what we've actually done on the shop floor. And there's a million questions I'm not keeping up with. Hopefully, somebody's answering those behind the scenes. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into shop floor insight now to actually record what we're doing on the shop floor. Now, shop floor insight would run on a terminal out in the shop floor, typically a fixed terminal. Fairly common terminal to use nowadays is a Chromebook because they're a couple $100. They got a screen, keyboard, all that kind of stuff built in. Slap them out there. They're very light, no moving parts, and away you go. But this just runs in a browser. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to record what I'm actually working on. And to do that, I'm first going to identify myself at the terminal. Now, there's a bunch of ways we can do this. You can type in your ID. We can do all sorts of things. We can clock in as work centers, as specific employees, as a group of employees, all that kind of stuff. But for me, I'm going to scan my ID badge that's generated from Business Central and clock into the system. So it comes in and it clocks in as Mark H. And here's everything I've done today, which is nothing because I just clocked in right now. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to scan a barcode to indicate what I'm working on. And there's a bunch of ways you can do this. I can scan a barcode. We also have the ability to use a dispatch list. So that schedule that you saw generated from MX also generates a dispatch list, and the standard Business Central production orders have this as well. And instead of scanning, I could come in here, tap on this, tap clock on, and start that work. But what I'm going to do is I've got a traveler in my hand. As a matter of fact, let me show you that traveler. So that's my desk that you see here, and this is the actual. These are the barcodes I'm about to scan. I'm just using a little, USB barcode scanner to do that. And this is the sort of sample barcode or traveler that prints out from shop floor. You can use whatever traveler you want. We just care about the barcodes, setup barcode, runtime barcode, and I'm going to scan that. And you can see it's even got a coffee stain on there. We spare no expense to make these things realistic, let me tell you. All right, so what I'm going to do is that's what I'm going to be scanning. I grab that traveler, I scan a barcode on the traveler, it pops up, and I've clocked into that activity. Now this is real time with Business Central. So this is sending this back to Business Central. So as a planner or lead hand or a salesperson or whatever, I can come in here, I can see exactly who's clocked into this activity, what they're working on, what the elapsed time is, all that kind of stuff real time in Business Central. All of this is coming from Business Central. We've got the bill of materials here that I can use for informational purposes, but I can also do point of use consumption, right? I can come in here, and if I've got a lot number, I can enter that lot number right here and the quantity of that particular lot number, and then a different lot number, and so on and so forth. So I can do point of use consumption as well. I can record scrap from here. I can do all of those sorts of things as well. Okay. We can also do output from here, where we can go in and record what we've completed and capture things like quality information, right? So I can come in and capture additional quality details like attributes for the specific operation or that item, those types of things. And this links here is kind of neat because these are all of my linked documents from Business Central. And how do those get there? You drag and drop them in with Doc Extender, right? So if I have these stored on SharePoint, I drag and drop with Doc Extender and bang, they're now available to me on the shop floor. I can open up my assembly diagrams or whatever I need from here. So essentially everything that you need to present out to the employees on the shop floor, you can do. And by the way, here I've clocked into this after 30 seconds or something. It'll time me out, or I can scan my badge to clock out again. I scanned somebody else's ID badge, so now I'm in here as Linda. She sees her dispatch list, so she doesn't have to scan a barcode. She just chooses what she wants to work on and clocks on. But now I come back to the terminal, I scan my badge again, and I'm going to scan the next activity that I'm working on, which in this case is going to be a non-productive code. It can automatically clock me off the prior activity, and away we go. So there's a whole bunch of stuff. Just in the interest of time, I'm not going to cover it, but we can do batching. So if you're doing multiple production orders at the same time, we're going to have one operator running multiple machines at the same time. We're going to have multiple people on the same operation at the same time. Pretty much any type of labor capture requirement you have on the shop floor, we've probably seen it and dealt with it. Okay, so this is how we capture all of that shop floor time and send it back into Business Central. So the next time we run the schedule, we know, how much we've completed on this, and we're not going to schedule stuff that's already being done. All right, so that's a little bit of that. So far, just to recap, because we're covering a lot of ground here, we've gone in and we've entered the order, we've done some forecasting, we've run the plan, we've scheduled it with MX, so we've got a nice, optimized, good schedule. We've sent it out to the shop floor to execute, and maybe we need to receive some material to do that consumption. We need to maybe ship material. We need to do all those sorts of things. So how do we do that? Well, I'm glad you asked. What we've got is we've got two options. We've got Warehouse Insight, and Warehouse Insight is the full version of the WMS, and it can do a ton of stuff, including output and consumption. And we also have WMS Express, which is, of course, the free version of the warehouse management solution. So what I'm going to do as soon as I find my barcode here. So I'm going to show you a little bit of that. What I'm doing is I'm going to show you my desk again. And this, by the way, is the full version of Warehouse Insight. So you can see we've got consumption, output, all that for manufacturing. And we've got all the things that you might want to do on there, like receiving and putaways and all that kind of stuff on a rugged device. You can run it on a phone or whatever if you like. And over here is this little guy. And these are kind of neat devices. They're about 600 bucks or so, you know, barcode scanner and a little physical keypad, but nice little devices you can fit in your pocket. And this one actually hasn't been set up yet. So when I open up the application, it says, hey, this thing's not set up. And you know what? Let's show this. So that is actually the screen that you see for this device in my hand. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up WMS Express. So I've installed WMS Express from AppSource already. I've run the setup wizard in Business Central. And as part of that setup wizard, it generates a sheet of barcodes like this, right? And here's the barcode to install it, here's the barcode to configure, and the barcode to log in. And that's what I'm going to do here. I'm actually going to configure this thing. It's hard to see the screen there. Well, I guess you can see it over here on this side. I'm actually going to, you know, configure my device and go in. So how do I do that? So I get the device from UPS in the mail or whatever, and I get the barcode, and I scan that config barcode and it says, okay, now you got to log in. And we're going to scan a barcode to log in. This is this barcode at the bottom here. Now, one note on that, in a few months, there'll be a different type of barcode you have to scan because the basic authentication is going away and you have to use OAuth. Anyway, it's a long story. I'm just going to scan that barcode to log in. And now we give it a sec here because it's what it's doing now is it's connecting up to Business Central and it's loading the applications and everything else and going to configure the device here in a sec. There we go, we're done. So 2 beeps there. So I ran the setup wizard and everything. That maybe took me 5 or 10 minutes to install it into Business Central. Once that's done, I did 2 beeps and I'm now logged in to Business Central on the handheld device with all my applications. So now, yeah, we need to receive something. I tap the receive icon. And by the way, WMS Express can do sort of the 4 key things in the warehouse, which is, you know, receiving, picking or shipping, inventory counts, bin-to-bin movements. That's what WMS Express can do. The full version, of course, can do a whole lot more, but I would say 70 to 80% of the people, if you need barcode scanning, WMS Express is the way to go. Anyway, here's all my purchase orders for this location on the handle. And if I want to start receiving, I can open up one of those POs, either using the little arrow keys I've got on the keypad or tapping the screen. And here we go, I can start receiving. Simple as that. Now, if you have barcodes from your vendor, that's ideal because I can just start scanning. If you want to print your own barcodes, I can tap that, hit print, and I can print barcode labels right from here. And the nice thing about that is that's using both our print node connector and our barcode generator tool. Our barcode generator tool can allow you to generate barcodes. This is a sample list of barcodes generated from our barcode generator tool. And these data matrix barcodes are kind of nice because you can see they get pretty tiny and I can fit a ton of information in those barcodes. So yeah, I can print right from the handheld device as well if I like. But assuming everything is already barcoded, that's great. All I have to do is grab the item that I want to receive. I scan it, and you know what? I'm going to scan that 1908-S. That's the middle guy there. So I'm going to scan that barcode there to start receiving him. When I scan the barcode, it goes out, it grabs a picture, shows it to me because maybe I mislabeled something. I enter the quantity I want to receive in this particular box, and we're done. This is, again, all real time with Business Central, and there's nothing special I need to do anything else. I've just received, well, I've now received 13. I've received 5 of them previously. So I've got 7 left to find on these guys. That's it. Scan a barcode, enter a quantity. If I don't have barcodes, I can just come in here, double tap it, or hit enter on the keypad, or use the menu and enter how many I'm receiving, and that's it. Once I'm done, I come in here, I hit post, and I posted that receipt right into Business Central, right? And that was literally, you know, if you've never done it before, this might take you, you know, half an hour on the first device to get it all up and running and ready to go. After that, it's a few minutes per device, and bang, you have got barcoding available in Business Central. Even if you don't do barcoding, any one of these apps, I can come in here and I can manually just, you know, tap and enter it without scanning any barcodes whatsoever. Okay, same thing on the sales order. So I can come in here, I need to ship something or pick something. I can choose a sales order, open it up. And by the way, we support warehouse shipments, we support warehouse receipts, putaways, all that kind of stuff. So you can have a very basic location that's maybe a retail store that you're working in, or you don't have any bins set up, or it can be the advanced warehousing in Business Central with full directed pick and put away. WMS Express will work with that. And of course, the full warehouse insight works the same way, works with all of those. It's just got a ton more capabilities than Express. But here's my sales order that I need to ship out. Again, easiest thing is to scan the barcode. If I don't have those barcodes, I can just come in here, manually tap stuff, and away I go. Let's ship something for fun. Let me scan one of these guys here. And again, if I scan something that's incorrect, it's going to yell at me and not let me ship it. And away I go. I hit OK, and I've just recorded that I'm about to ship 7 of those lamps. Same thing, I can come in here, hit post, and it'll post that shipment for me. Simple as that. That's it. Few minutes, and I've got barcode scanning in my hand, or just manual shipping and receiving on that device. Okay. Now, let's say I do want to go out and ship some product. I don't want to do it from the handheld because I need shipping labels. Now, if you're using the full version of Warehouse Insight, we can set it up, we can customize it so that you can actually print shipping labels like a UPS label or FedEx label or whatever directly from the handheld device. But typically you're going to go into Business Central and package stuff up. Now there's 2 ways we can do that. We've got the full dynamic ship product. Oh, this guy timed out. You can tell I've been talking too long when the system times out. The full dynamic ship product, which allows us to do packaging, do rate shopping, international, do all sorts of fun stuff. Full shipping solution with dynamic ship. Okay, and that ties in, that integrates in with Warehouse Insight as well for doing packaging. If you're doing LTL, you can do packaging with the handheld devices. We can do rate shopping on LTL carriers. There's over 300 LTL carriers we support now through TMS partners. So we can do rate shopping on parcel, LTL, we can do hazmat shipping, we can do all sorts of fun stuff, and that's through dynamic ship. But let's say we're in an environment where, it's pretty simple. We just want to get, a shipment out. So, and by the way, we're about to look at Order Ship Express, and just to, sort of reiterate, Order Ship Express works in the US, US domestic right now with UPS and USPS. If you want additional carriers besides those 2, you would go with Dynamic Ship, which supports hundreds of carriers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the sales order, and we're going to ship it out. And to do that, so here we've got that mountain bike. I don't think that's the one I created earlier, but that's okay. We're going to come in here, and we're going to get some shipping labels for this shipment. So I simply click on that. And by the way, this will also work if you're using warehouse shipments, right? If you're using a warehouse shipment, I can come in here and I can generate labels for those. The only trick is I do it from the sales order, but even if the sales order is using warehouse shipments, that's fine as well. So what it did was it brought in, UPS ground here because that was set on the sales order, but I can come in here, I can choose, the carriers that are supported, different services. If I don't want to do ground, let's say I want to do 2-day air or something like that, I can choose all of that kind of stuff from here. But we'll do ground. Oh, and shipping options. I'll show you that in a sec. But here I simply come in and I say, yeah, it's a 10 by 6 by 8 box that's 2 pounds. So I enter all my boxes in this predefined package. USPS and UPS have standard packages that you can use, and you get better rates if you use one of their standard packages. But I simply come in here, list all the packages that I'm creating for this particular shipment, and then I want to see what this is going to cost me. So I say get rate. It's going out in real time, sending all this information. It's calculating out what my freight cost is going to be, and this freight price, I could change this. I'll just say it's going to be 12 bucks. This is actually what we're going to add to the sales order. So you'll notice it did that original markup because there's a setting that allows you to set a markup on the freight for UPS and USPS. So you are getting discounted rates. These UPS rates and USPS rates you're getting are the maximum discounted rates you can get without having a unique contract with those carriers. So you are getting discounted rates, and you can bump that up. And you can actually start making money using Order Ship Express that's free, right? Pretty slick. Now, I say, yeah, it's going to be 12 bucks to ship. And they say, oh yeah, can you make sure we get a signature or something like that? So I can come in here, I can set all of these different options, right? If I want to do Saturday delivery, these reference codes here, This is what prints on the UPS label. So if we want to add some additional details and things like that, we can. So there's a whole bunch of stuff we can do here. But now I said, yeah, we need a signature. So if I get the rate with the signature, it's going to come back and say, well, if you want a signature, it's going to be more expensive. But I'm good with that. I'm happy with that. So I just say get label. And what it's going to do is it goes out to UPS, grabs the label, grabs the tracking number, all of that kind of stuff. And normally, again, with the print node connector, this would just be printed now on my printer, my label printer for those labels, or whatever printer you want to use. Just to do a print preview of this, it's pretty simple. We're going to get a UPS label, and that tracking number that we have there, if this wasn't a sample, that's live. I could go to ups.com, look up that tracking number, and I get all the tracking details with it, right? So we print out the label, slap it on the box, out the door it goes, and we're good. Okay, that's all there is to it. And then what we did, this was $18.29. We add that freight charge onto the sales order, and we're done. There's no forgetting to charge the customer freight. There's no losing money on freight. Any of that kind of stuff is there. And if I want to come in here and look at what I've shipped with the tracking number and all that kind of stuff, I can come in, I can see all my labels that I've printed for this order, those sorts of things. I could reprint the label if it's screwed up or get a refund on it if I want to cancel it. All of that kind of stuff is there. So really pretty comprehensive shipping solution, very simple to use if you're using those two carriers, right? So pretty straightforward. And again, Dynamic Ship is going to give you that full-blown shipping process where you can do packing, scan barcodes to make sure you're packing the right product, all of those kinds of things. And I'll encourage you to look at the online demos for Dynamic Ship if you want more detail on the shipping. Now, one last thing that I actually forgot to show you, because there might be something else, right? Before I ship something, I might want to figure out what am I able to ship today, right? So a customer is, ordered a bunch of stuff. What can I actually ship today? So we have this thing called the order fulfillment worksheet. And what that does is it comes in and it looks at all of my orders that are in the system, and it tells me which ones I can actually ship based on my current inventory, right? So this one says partially available, and we can see I don't have this. So I can actually make a decision, do I actually ship this order today or not, or do I wait for those speaker or the cable, and I can come in and see some details about it, right? Like when is it coming in, all of those sorts of things as well. So this is a nice tool to answer that question, what can I actually ship today? And then if you're using, the warehouse management, I can actually create the picks right here. I hit create picks, like, multi-select what I want, hit create picks, and it generates all my pick tickets, my warehouse shipments, all of that kind of stuff for me automatically. Or I can just print out the pick ticket for the sales order, or whatever I like. And again, it's just like Business Central. I could filter by carrier, I could filter by destination, by customer, whatever I like, figure out what's available, highlight everything I actually want to ship today, go in, create the picks, and I'm done. Okay, so that's the order fulfillment worksheet. And just tell you where you can find more information. We will respond to those additional questions via email. If you do need to contact us, you can go to the website. There's a contact form. There's also a chat window you can use to chat with us in real time. If you want more information on all the apps, go to the main website, dmsiworks.com. There's an apps button right in the top header, or go to the apps folder here, and you'll get a listing of all the applications, and you can see which ones are free, which ones are subscription, all that kind of stuff. More information, like if you want a detailed demo on Dynamic Ship or some of these other products, go to the demo link at the top, and we've got videos on pretty much all of the products that we've talked about today, and help documentation and those sorts of things. If you're interested in the hardware that I showed you today, like the two scanners, go to the hardware shop. There's a buyer's guide and a whole bunch of information on how to choose the types of hardware that we support. All right, so with that, thanks everybody for all the interaction. This has been great. Appreciate everybody attending, and I hope you have a great rest of the week. Thanks everyone.
Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel for more great content.